The Startup CEO. In our world, the measure of success isn't a skyscraper. It's an empty lot. In the business world, the legend isn't the one who builds a billion-dollar corporation. It's the one who launches it in the neatest possible way. This is the story of Linh, a finisher, an ender, but she preferred to be called a startup specialist. Her job was to take a bloated giant, a corporation that had become too complete, and return it to its purest moment, an idea. Her story concludes in an old garage smelling of gasoline and half-baked dreams, and in her hand, the result of 2 years of work, a paper napkin. On it, a crude sketch of a microchip, the billion-dollar idea, the perfect beginning. To understand how neatest, the giant that had just dominated the global market, could climb down to this point, we must go back 2 years, to when Linh was hired. It was in a sterile, cold boardroom on the 80th floor. The board of directors, men and women who were far too successful, looked at her as if she were their last savior. "Ms. Linh," the chairman said, his voice weary, "neatest has become too big. Our profits are too stable. It has stopped growing." In their world, growth meant shrinking. Linh smiled, a sharp, knowing smile. "Gentlemen," she said, "it's not just too big. It's too finished. It has stopped dreaming. You hired me to reboot it, to get it back to the starting line, and I will deliver." The contract was signed. Her salary, $1, an irony both sides understood. And so the greatest and most planned bankruptcy in tech history began. First mission, products. Billions of smartphones, tablets. They were everywhere. Linh called it the Great Unlaunching, a massive global marketing campaign, not to sell but to recall. Emotional ads, where celebrities cried and returned their phones. They were promised liberation. The neatest factories ran at full capacity, but the workers weren't assembling. They were meticulously disassembling. Every screw, every microchip was removed, packaged, and sent back to the raw material suppliers. It was a glorious symphony of reverse logistics. Next, 50,000 employees. Linh called it the Firing Festival. No tears or cardboard boxes, but a stadium with fireworks, DJs, and lavish parties. Linh stood on stage, holding the mic. "Thank you for your hard work," she shouted. "All of you are fired." The crowd went wild. They received enormous checks, what we would call welcome bonuses. They hugged, they high-fived, celebrating a job perfectly completed, free to return to the job market. Finally, infrastructure. The towers of glass and steel. They were sold, one by one, unbuilt, back into empty lots, until only one place was left. The old garage and one person, not the board, the original founder. Now, just a young man, skinny, his eyes burning with hope and anxiety. He had just pitched Linh an idea. Will it work?" he asked, his voice trembling. "This idea?" Linh looked down at the napkin in her hand, the crude sketch of the chip. "It's a terrible idea," she said. He was stunned. "Terrible?" She smiled. "A terrible, illogical, and impossible idea, which is exactly why it will fail so spectacularly that it will become a billion-dollar success." She handed him the napkin. Her work was done. She had successfully launched a billion-dollar corporation, returning it to the pure chaos of a single crazy idea. In the reverse Chronicles, the fall of an empire is not a tragedy. It is a masterpiece. In-depth analysis and lesson learned. In-depth analysis. The Startup CEO is a direct satire of hustle culture, consumerism, and the modern obsession with infinite growth. In this reverse universe, success is not expansion, but purification. The CEO's job is not to destroy, but to detox a company, to cleanse it of cumbersome things like profit, personnel, and infrastructure, to find the only thing that matters, the core idea. The story cleverly uses business terminology, startup, product launch, firing, and inverts their meanings, creating sharp irony. It criticizes how large corporations often grow to the point of forgetting the original reason they exist. Lesson learned. True success isn't in the scale of the empire you build, but in the purity of the idea that started it. This story poses a question to all of us in the real world. Is what we are building every day, our companies, our careers, our lives, still loyal to the original spark that ignited our passion? Sometimes the greatest value isn't in building more, but in having the courage to clean house, to scale down, and to find the true essence of the matter.